Hi, welcome back to the show. My name's Nelda. In today's video, we're going to be commenting on a comment from one of my previous videos. I recorded a video 2 weeks ago where I was talking about how there is a map that is very popular. It's probably the map that you know of the world. And on that map, Africa is misrepresented. It's not the only place that is misrepresented, by the way. Virtually every continent and every country, the sizes are off, all of that. This is a very well-known fact to a lot of people who are looking into maps and all of that. But somebody was offended by that video and they told me, well, if Africa is so massive. First of all, somebody said that Australia is bigger than Africa. We're not even going to address that in this video today. But somebody said, oh, if Africa is as big as you're saying, then why is it that all Africans are trying to come to Europe? First of all, no. 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 That is not true. And that is exactly what we're going to be addressing today. Statistically speaking, 53% of the times when an African is leaving their home country, they're going to another African country, period. That is more than half of the times. So we're going to look into this based on pure data. I'm going to tell you exactly where I got my data from. You can go cross-check it if you want. Let's start with the very first fact that I said. 53% of Africans are migrating to other African countries. So our first destination isn't, oh my gosh, I need to go to America. No. If I'm a Tanzanian and I'm trying to move, my first destination is probably going to be Kenya or Uganda or DRC. Or Malawi or Mozambique, which are Tanzania's neighbors. Now, I'm a Tanzanian myself. I have migrated from Tanzania. I miss my country every day and I love it so much. But there are many reasons Africans move, and we're going to get to them later in the video because there is nothing really special per se about African migration. Every single people group in the world migrates. Latin Americans migrate. Asians migrate, which, by the way, they're the ones leading in migration. Australians migrate. Americans migrate, Europeans migrate, everybody migrates. But I don't understand this obsession that people have with this idea that, oh my gosh, all the Africans are always on the move, they're running away from Africa. Please calm down. The first destination for Africans when they're migrating, like I said, is Africa itself. So 53% we're moving between each other's countries. Second destination, which is what people think is usually the first destination, is actually Europe. A lot of North Africans typically go to France, to Italy, to Spain because they're neighbors. Like if you look at Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Libya, that little belt, they're obviously just crossing the sea towards the other side. Then Asia is our third destination. Primarily, you're looking at the Gulf area. So Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, Kuwait, that little Gulf area. Not so little, sorry guys. And then North America is usually the fourth destination. So you're looking at the United States, you're looking at Canada, and mostly people who go towards the western side, so you're looking at the North American side or even South America. It's the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, people towards the western bloc in Africa. And then Oceania, Australia, is the least likely place for us to go to. And Latin America isn't that much, to be fair as well. The data, I got it from Africa Center, Migration Data Portal, and UNDESA. So the second thing that I want to address on top of that is that most Africans migrate not because we just like, oh my god, I hate Africa so much, I need to leave. No, if we are migrating from our home country, even if it's to another African country or outside of Africa altogether, it's usually because of limited economic opportunities that are on the continent. And sometimes people are fleeing conflict and war and persecution. So if you look at the African countries that have the highest amounts of emigrants, so people leaving the countries, you're looking at South Sudan, mostly refugees, like 2.3 million people. And that is mostly due to the conflict that is going on in South Sudan. The DRC, again, 1.6 million people, mostly refugees. They're leaving because there's a lot of fighting, the M23 rebels. There is a lot of political unrest towards the northern side of the DRC. Morocco, you're looking at 3 million people, mostly going towards Europe. Like I said, they're just crossing over towards the other side, going to France, Spain, and Italy. Algeria, you're looking at 1.8 million people leaving the country. And then there's a few other countries on the list: Egypt, Nigeria, Sudan, Somalia, Tunisia. So a lot of the times when we're leaving, we're not just getting up and being like, oh my gosh, yes, time to leave Africa. I'm sucking Africa. I'm jappaing, the way Nigerians say. No, we're just seeking better economic opportunities. And some people are actually running away from something. And we're going to get into the details of that as well. Because like I said at the beginning of the video, this is not unique to Africans. Every people group migrates, guys. So stop paying too much attention on us and singling us out as if there is something particularly unique about Africans' migration. No, there isn't. The third thing that I want to address here while we're still on the topic of migration is Africans are not even the group of people that migrate the most. If you divide us according to countries, or even according to continents, it is obviously the Asians who are migrating the most. Like, we're not even going to talk about that. The Indians, 17.9 million migrants, okay, in the last year that I got the data from. They're going mostly to, again, the Gulf, like I mentioned, the UAE, the United States. Everybody wants to go to the United States, apparently. Saudi Arabia, the United Kingdom, Mexico, 11.2 million people live in the country. And of course, they're going to the United States. They're going to Canada. They're going to Spain, to the UK. China, 10.5 million people. They're going into the US. They're going to Canada, to Australia, to Singapore, Russia, Ukraine, all these countries. Yet people have this concept like, oh my gosh, it's the Africans. It's the Africans who are terrorizing other people. They can't stay in their own home countries. You can fight with the data, not me. Because if you rank the continents by emigration, so which continent has most people leaving, Asia is obviously number one. Number two, dun 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 dun, Europe. Europe. The guy who was commenting on my video saying, oh, all Africans want to come to Europe. Europe is number two when it comes to leaving their own continents, going to other people's countries. Latin America and the Caribbean are the next ones on the list. Africa is number four. Number four. And you people think we're the ones who are leaving. By the way, while we're in that topic, because I've said this and I will insist so that people who are watching clips don't come attack me. There's nothing wrong with migration as long as you're doing it lawfully. So I'm not trying to crap on these continents or these countries. No, migration is a good thing when it's done the right way. We're moving around, seeking better economic opportunities. But I'm trying to correct this idea that it's Africans who are emigrating the most, because a lot of the times African migration is heavily politicized. People are running for office in the UK based on how much they hate African immigrants. I think that is absolutely insane. And not just African immigrants. Immigrants from Asia as well face something similar, particularly people from the Gulf region. It's also, the religion has come into this conversation. There's so much complexity when it comes to immigration, and I think people don't acknowledge that most of the times. So where do people exactly get this idea that it's Africans who are migrating the most? Well, it's obviously the media. A lot of the times when you look at the way African migration is portrayed, especially when you look at dangerous journeys, so the way people are migrating using boats, you'll hear this all the time, like, oh my gosh, there's another boat that flipped over. It was coming from Morocco. Or there's another family that has drowned in the Mediterranean Sea because they were trying to migrate from Africa. It's these stories that are not violent per se, but they're very emotional, that are being thrown in our face constantly by the media. So people get this idea, it's being honed onto us constantly, that Africans are constantly on the move compared to Asians and Europeans as well. And there's also this concept of regular versus irregular migration. So oftentimes when African migration is portrayed, it's irregular migration. They're portraying the boats, like I said, smugglers, people who are doing human trafficking. They're portraying dangerous crossings, people who are trying to swim their way from Africa to Europe. So it's the media coverage that is causing this perception, and which also brings me to why I started this YouTube channel in the first place. There's so many myths about Africans. People hate us for absolutely no reason. No, okay, it's not no reason. There's a lot of crap that Africans do when they migrate. We're going to talk about it in a different video. But I just wanted to address this because it's not fair that people think we're trying to abandon our home country because we're leaving for economic opportunity. A lot of us leave to seek better education, to develop our own skills. A lot of us are, like I said, running away from conflict and political unrest. So what I think overall is, if you're an African and you're emigrating, you're leaving your home country, don't let anybody make you feel guilty about it, as long as you're going about it the right way. If you're following the law, you're gathering all the necessary documents, unless you're, of course, an asylum seeker and you have to run and flee, then you don't have time for that. And asylum seeking is actually guarded by international law. So don't worry too much about that as well. But if you're lawfully migrating, don't let anybody try to bring you down and make you feel like it's the wrong thing to do. No, you're seeking a better life for yourself. Go ahead and emigrate really quickly. Now, so just to clarify everything together we've talked about in this video. One, yes, Africa is massive. I'm not taking that back. It's just a geographical fact, so you can go argue with the map, not me. Number two, when Africans are emigrating, we're emigrating mostly within Africa. Europe is not our top destination. And that's not to say Europe is ugly. Europe is absolutely beautiful. I love Europe as well. Not as much as Africa, but I do. And number three, it's not a bad thing to emigrate. Let us emigrate in peace. And the one thing that I really want to insist on, though, is Africans who are watching this, especially because multiple people watch the channel, but Africans, when you do emigrate and leave your home country, I think it's a good idea to relocate temporarily, which is what I'm doing, because of course you're seeking better opportunity. What you shouldn't do is abandon your home country and say, oh my gosh, I'm done, screw them. No, If everybody leaves Africa and we abandon the continent, the problems that chased us away from the continent are also going to chase other people out. And Africa is experiencing a lot of brain drain, which is when all the smart people, the educated people, all the hardworking people pushing themselves, they're all leaving. But we need to have this idea of relocating back home in our minds, because Africa needs us. It needs its people. And I think in the long run, a lot of African immigrants are not open to the idea of going back home. But I think that is something that we need to talk about a little bit more. So hopefully this was a useful video. Came with the data as always, showed you the real statistics. Don't hate on us for immigrating. There is nothing unique about African immigration. Everybody and their moms has migrated since the dawn of time. So don't let anybody make you feel like you're less than because you want to leave your country to seek a better economic opportunity. No. So hopefully the video was nice. Let me know what you think. What did I not cover? What do you not like? And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.